Going to hit a home run here, huh? Wish the Phillies could do that. Yeah. Hello, folks. How are you? It's a great night to be alive here at Temple University, isn't it? Welcome to the annual Athletics Hall of Fame Class of 2022 Gala. My name's Harry Donahue. I've been associated with Temple University going back to the mid-'80s. 1984 was the first year that I did a Temple football game on the radio. And my career ended just last year, actually, doing Temple football and basketball, seeing some fine athletes and students on and off the court, being associated with one of Temple's two Naismith Hall of Fame coaches, John Chaney. And it's a very special part of my broadcast career, which I'm a Philadelphia native. Everybody thinks I went to Temple. I did not. I graduated from St. Joseph's College. It was only a college then, but I am a Hawk by my education. I went to school right down the street from Temple at St. Joe's Prep, right over here. So anyhow, but I'm very proud to say that I have worked at Temple, and I'm very cherished by all my memories and the people that I've met here over a course of more than 30 years. So it was great. Tonight's class, 8 people, is represented by 6 different programs, All-Americans, national champions, and one of the longest tenured administrators in Temple athletics history, and a very, as you know her, special lady who you will meet shortly. A night like this, I'm going off script. Larry wrote this script for me, but you don't mind if I, wherever he is, going off script just a little bit. We still have 56 minutes, right, Larry? A night like Temple's had, as I mentioned, national champions, All-Americans, all-conference players, whatever, great student athletes. Some sports, unfortunately, get more recognition and publicity than others. Temple basketball was a national program. Temple football became sort of a national program recently, and it was a great program even before it got that first win over Penn State. But tonight we're here to honor some of the athletes who didn't get as much publicity. But publicity, as anyone who's ever played the game and knows anything about any game, publicity doesn't tell the full story. Because every athlete who competes at any level, but especially at the college level, puts in the time and the dedication and commitment to practice, to being a team player, whether their name is in the lights or in the newspaper or on TV or radio or not. And tonight, one of the main reasons that I appreciate this night is we get to recognize, finally, and in some cases it's been too long, to recognize that effort and commitment and dedication that those athletes gave at an important time in their life here at Temple University. But before we meet our class, I want you to meet a gentleman who's now finishing up his, he's in his first year. He's not finishing up, he's in the midst of his first year. He is the Vice President, Director of Athletics, and his name is Arthur Johnson. So Arthur, come on up. You're our host tonight. These are your people, Arthur. They want to hear from you.
Thank you, Harry.
Good luck to you, my friend.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lear Coors Center for this special occasion. I want to first start by acknowledging and thanking the selection committee for your efforts in selecting this class from the nominations. Will you please stand? All of those of you who are here tonight, please stand and be recognized. Do we have any other Hall of Famers in the audience who return tonight? Coach, please stand again and be recognized. All of our Hall of Famers. And last but certainly not least, our former coaches and staff members. Former coaches and our current staff, please stand up. I want to thank you for the impact that you make and what you do to help our student athletes with what they do day in and day out. You are certainly the wind beneath their wings. You make it happen. A lot of things happen behind the scenes so that our student athletes and our former student athletes can achieve their dreams and their goals with what they're trying to do. So I want to say thank you as they strive for greatness. Also, wow, what a time to be in Philadelphia with the pro sports team. So let's give it up for the Phillies, the Union, and certainly the Eagles. It's heartbreaking last night. Wow. But still got a shot. But as we all witness, sports is an incredible conduit that brings people from all walks of life together. Whether it's a shared purpose to compete and prepare for victory. We deal with the tough pain and agony of defeat together. But also we have the joy and the excitement of victory. No matter the outcome, we always seem to appreciate and respect the efforts and incredible performances by the participants. This evening, we are here to recognize rock stars with us inducting the 36th class of the Temple Sports Hall of Fame, or Temple Athletics Hall of Fame, since it was started in 1969. So as Harry mentioned, we got 6 sports. It spans over 50 years, 2 infield hockey, 1 softball, 1 lacrosse, 1 baseball, 1 football, 3 All-Americans, 2 All-Regions, national or school record holders, and a national champion. And then, of course, one of the longest tenured, most respected, and adored staff members in school history. Let's give it up for this amazing group that represent us. To tonight's rock stars, I want to say congratulations and welcome back. This is your night for your friends, your families, your kids, your coaches. It's a recognition for incredible work that you put in to get to this point. And I want to say I'm happy to be here to share this with you, but enjoy this night, enjoy the weekend, and always remember, go Owls.
Thank you, Arthur, and good luck to you. All right, it's time now to meet our 8 inductees into this 2022 class. One of the top players in the storied history of Temple field hockey, Deb Brown Townsend, began her Hall of Fame career here at Temple back in 1994, earning Most Outstanding Player of the Atlantic 10 tournament that season. She had 198 saves that year, and in case you were wondering, that ranks 9th on Temple's all-time list, and it was just a glimpse of what would follow. The following season, the 2-time All-Region honoree set the still-standing school record with 249 saves. She also owns 3 of the Owls' top 10 season marks for saves per game, with an average of 12.45 saves per game as a junior in '96, ranking 2nd all-time in school history. The all-time leader in career saves now at 791, while also ranking 4th in saves per game. And she capped her incredible career here by being named 3rd-team All-American in her senior season in 1997. So let's give a warm welcome and a congratulatory round of applause to Temple University's Athletics Hall of Famer, Deb Brown Townsend.
Hello. I am truly blessed and excited to be receiving this award. I would like to start by saying thank you to some of the most important people in my life. My parents, Martin and Diane Brown, who have always been my biggest fans. And to my husband, Ray, who I met here at Temple, not exactly through sports, and our sons, Sean, Jackson, and Connor, who inspire me to be better every day. I'm also glad to have my Uncle Paul here, who's heard many of my ups and downs of my hockey career. But the biggest thank you goes to Sharifa Nori Howarth, who the field is named after. I've known her since I was 3 years old. She called me in the middle of my senior year of high school to ask me if I knew what I was doing next year for hockey. She said, "We need a goalie, ours just quit." "What do you think about playing for Temple?" So we set up a call with Coach Fuchs, and the rest, I guess, is history. I came to tour the campus, and I was ready to sign up. If anyone knows Sharifa, she grabbed me and put her arms around me and said, "We're gonna have a great time." My dad just said, "That's what I'm afraid of." How do I even begin to tell you how lucky I am to have a chance to walk onto a Division I field hockey team like Temple? What an amazing opportunity I was given to continue to play the sport that I love. I still remember the day my athletic director at the Wissahickon High School brought me into his office and told me I had been offered a scholarship, which also happened to be the same day as my dad's 50th birthday, and for some reason he didn't believe me. I was so ecstatic to sign that paperwork. My freshman year at Temple was challenging. I grew up quickly, as most do, but I loved every minute of it. From the first team meeting in the hotel room before our game at UConn, when Coach Fuchs announced the starting lineup, winning the A-10 tournament that year, all the way through to my senior season. I loved being in that net. I loved playing behind some of the best teammates a goalie could have. My awards and stats are great memories, but I am more grateful for all the opportunities and friendships that have blessed my life. Field hockey was an amazing experience, and I love to come back to watch the team every chance I get, and to be able to watch the games online when I'm at different fields watching my kids play. But I am more grateful for what it gave me. It taught me to persevere, to tolerate, and to appreciate all the moments, the good and the bad. We didn't always have the best record, but we put our hearts out on the field and played for each other every single game. The years flew by, and we made some great memories. I am thankful for the education I received and the doors that opened for me because of it. I have worked in the health field of cardiac rehab for the last 23 years with fellow alum from Temple, and have met many other amazing people because of my job. My job was another opportunity that seemed to fall right in my lap after my internship. I have made connections with so many Temple grads over the years, and am so proud to be able to say that I am now a Hall of Famer. Thank you so much for this honor and for believing in me and giving me the chance to be playing again. Best of luck to the ladies, who actually lost today, it stinks, in the Big East tournament. Go Owls.
Next, we have the longest tenured employee in the history of Temple basketball. Essie Davis, AKA Ms. Davis, started her remarkable career in Temple in 1972, and she only stayed for another 40 years before finally retiring in 2012. A beloved staffer, that hardly describes what she meant. She was a mother figure to Temple basketball players for decades. Ms. Davis has the distinction of working with 4 great Temple coaches in her span here. The Chief, Harry Lidwack, Don Casey, Coach John Chaney, and Fran Dunphy. During her time, and most of that time spent in a very little cubicle office with no windows ever for 40 years, imagine that. She witnessed over 800 Temple Owl basketball wins, 35 postseason appearances, and countless student athletes earned their degrees from Temple University. And I'm going to go off script again and say, and I'm probably sure she witnessed a lot more than that. Maybe she'll share some of that, I don't know. There's a lot of history in 40 years. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause for a woman who spent and gave 40 years of dedicated service to Temple University basketball, and now is a Temple Hall of Famer, Miss Essie Davis.
Hi, everyone. Golly gee, I'm back. Wow. Thank you. It's so good to see you all. Thank you. I just want to say, I didn't write anything down, so this is coming straight from my heart, non-scripted. First, I want to tell you about getting a job here at Temple. I came here to work on the interview for the law school. Would you believe the law school? Well, he wasn't there. So they said, will you take another interview? I said, oh, sure, athletics. Wow, okay. Came over to athletics, and Ernie Cassell, bless Ernie Cassell's heart, my athletic director, he said, I see that you change jobs a lot. Well, if the job get on my nerve, I quit. But he said, well, what would make you stay? If you hire me, I have responsibility, I will be here. He hired me that Monday to work the following Monday, November 1972. And from then on, it was wonderful. I enjoyed my coaches. He hired me to work in the men's basketball office for Harry Litway, who was my first Hall of Famer. Then, that was a year. I had Don Casey for 10 years. And then I had Coach. 24 years of marriage, marital bliss. It was wonderful. And then I got blessed with Coach Dunphy for 6 years. But all that time, my children have always been there for me. My oldest was Kelly, my son Craig, my daughter Tony, my daughter Felicia, and my sister Adrianne, always by my side. I had a wonderful time. I got a chance to meet, not only in the basketball office, but all over, like Coach Tina. She was one of my specials. And then Coach Nikki Frank, Kia. It was wonderful. We were a family then. Now it's a business, but I guess it's a good business. Coach would be too tickled to say, oh, Miss Davis is up there, really? I had a ball, and I thank the committee for nominating me and electing me into this Hall of Fame. It's a wonderful honor, and once God gives you something, it's a blessing. You never get back what God gave you. So I worked my job, and I had a wonderful time watching young men become teenagers, from teenagers to young men, and now they're all wonderful fathers like Frieswick. He's a wonderful father, okay? I got men that are men, and I am so happy to be a part of this. Thank you all.
One of those young men, basketball players, is our next inductee. He's also one of the most prolific scorers in the history of Temple men's basketball. And you know that means something. David Hawkins is one of only 4 Temple players to score more than 2,000 points in his 4-year career. 2,077 to be exact. And it ranks 3rd all-time on the school's scoring list. But his 24.4 scoring average during his senior season in 2003-2004 is also the 3rd best mark in Temple history. He was a 3-time All-Atlantic 10 Conference and Philadelphia Big 5 Hall of Famer. The Hawk averaged double figures in scoring all 4 years here at Temple, all 4 years, against some pretty good competition and with some great players, fellow Hall of Famers now. His mark of scoring 10.4 a game as a freshman helped Temple get to Coach's final Elite 8 in 2001 in Atlanta. He also ranks 4th in school history in field goals and free throws made, and he's 24th on the all-time rebound list. I had the pleasure of doing his games here at Temple, and you know, everybody has a nickname, Hawkins, Hawk, all this and that, but I always refer to him, especially the last couple years, as the ultimate warrior, because David Hawkins never wanted to lose. And he made sure everybody on the team had that same mentality. He was a tenacious basketball player. In all my years of doing Temple basketball, he would have to be near or at the top of the list for tenacity and desire and just overall commitment to Temple basketball. If you had told me when he was a freshman he would be third all-time scoring behind Mark Macon and Lynn Greer, I would have said no. But he made himself number 3. Number 34, Hall of Famer, David Hawkins. All right. I'll let y'all know now, I'm a crier. So I don't know how they held it together, but I'm gonna try to get through this. Y'all look good tonight. I want to thank y'all for all being here to celebrate this with me. Congratulations to my fellow classmates. So I was here for my teammate Lynn Greer's Hall of Fame induction. And I was sitting with Coach, and, sitting there, he stayed on joke time. So I'm like, Coach, I can't wait till I get inducted and you come see me. And he said, I don't think I'll be there. So I'm like, why would you be talking like this? No, David, I'm not saying I won't be alive. I'm saying I don't think you're getting inducted. This is a true story. But that was him, and that was Coach. We all know I miss him. My last conversation with him, he told me that he loved me, and he told me to make sure that I told the people that I love them as much as I can every day, because you never know when they're gonna be here or not. That weighed heavy on me because I was almost not here to be accepting this. So in 2020, I got shot during a robbery after doing what I love, playing basketball. But it wasn't my time, and I'm still here. And every day moving forward has just been a blessing, and I'm just happy that my children, I'm happy that my children can be proud of me, and I can leave something for them to be like, my daddy's a Hall of Famer. And they was here to witness that with me. I just want to thank, even though they're not here, my mother, my brother, my sister for being extremely supportive of me and being a strong background for me. And I know I didn't make it easy for them. And Miss Davis definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame for as many times she had to call and wake me up for class. And she was getting cussed out by Coach because she couldn't find me. Well, where is he? I don't know, Coach, so you deserve that. And again, just make sure you give the flowers to your loved ones while they can still smell them, because that's important. And you never know when it's going to be the last time you speak to somebody or see them, so try not to leave on an argument or try not to leave with bad blood, because that could be the last time.
I want to thank y'all again for sharing this moment with me, and congratulations to y'all.
This next Hall of Famer not only excelled in one sport, but two. Jill Marple starred in lacrosse and field hockey during her time here at Temple. A two-time All-America lacrosse goalie, she holds the school record for career saves with 754 and career save percentage at 65. She ranks fourth all-time in career goals against average, allowing less than 6 goals per game, and owns 3 of the top 5 single-season save percentages by an Owls goalkeeper. Jill was also the starting goalkeeper in 3 Final Fours, including the Owls' perfect national championship season back in 1988. Her shutout over Lehigh in '90 was one of only 5 against the Division I opponent, and the last by a Temple goalkeeper. That was 1990. Also, though, a Temple field hockey standout, the 1989 first-team All-Region selection ranked second all-time in program history in saves per game, 4th in saves overall, and 10th in goals against average. She also owns 3 of the top 10 seasons for saves by a goalkeeper. A warm round of applause now to a two-sport Hall of Famer, Jill Marple.
Well, hello. I'm going to do my best here. I've been sick, so I hope I can kind of share. First of all, I want to say thank you to Temple University, the Hall of Fame committee, and just my experience here at Temple. It's been incredible. I remember in 1987, I think it was, the logo at Temple was, "You couldn't have gone anywhere." But the fact was, I was chosen by Temple. At the time, a lot of people don't know this, I did not play lacrosse in high school. I never played. I was a 3-sport high school sport. I was a 3-sport high school athlete, and I owe kind of my career and my Hall of Fame, I guess, this wonderful experience today, to 4 coaches that are amazing to me. One is P.J. Kesmodel, Tina Sloan Green, Gwen Cheeseman Alexander, and also Sue Stahl. But I want to back up a minute because it was P.J. Kesmodel who, my senior year of high school, said, "You're a pretty good athlete, Marple, and I think we can get you a scholarship." At the time, you know, I came from some dysfunction, and he really believed in me. And so he told me to quit playing softball, and he was going to coach me to be a goalie in lacrosse. He was the men's coach. So he ended up coaching, he ended up working with me that whole year, or that whole season. And then he recruited me, and he actually cold called Penn State, Temple. He cold called all these players, or all these coaches, and it's like, "You got to see this Marple kid." And actually, I guess Temple took the bait. And, excuse me. And then I remember, like it was yesterday, Tina and Frank Green coming to Maryland to see me play club lacrosse. And literally, after they saw me play club lacrosse, I think it was about 6 months later, I think it was sometime later, I was offered a dual athletic scholarship. So, and then the rest is history. I arrived here, it was such an honor for me to play, and I was like, oh my gosh, all I could do is focus. You know, like a lot of people in college, you know, there were some drinkers, right? I didn't do any of that. I was such, yeah, I'm looking at one. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm looking at a former player. but I was really serious, and no one really got to know me. But I tell you, it all paid off. Every bit of it paid off. I actually was a freshman starting goalie for the NCAA 1988 championship. But I got to tell you, the team that I was a goaltender with, it was amazing. I mean, they just missed it. Like, what was it, by one the year before? And so it's just been such an honor, being an athlete at Temple. I just can't thank you enough, Tina and Frank, for seeing the potential in me. And then, I then now carry the torch because I coach an inner city lacrosse team called Icon Sports, which the head coach is here today. Tina mentored me. Now I'm mentoring young girls. And, it all comes full circle. I also want to say and acknowledge my family is here tonight. My son Declan, Colin, and then my sister and my brother-in-law, Joe, and then good friends that are here too, former athletes, Temple former athletes, Ken and Robin Puri. So thank you so much for this honor, and thank you. I'm like sitting with greatness, and I'm just, thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have one of the top receivers in the history of Temple Owls football, and another athlete that I had the pleasure of doing describing games that he played in, beginning with my initial season in 1984 when Willie Marshall was a sophomore. I told him earlier tonight he still looks like he could go out and get maybe half a dozen catches tomorrow if he has any eligibility left, but unfortunately, that has elapsed. But his legacy at Temple has far from elapsed. Let me give you a little clue as to why he's here tonight. And by the way, he is from the mid-'80s, got out, 86, Willie? And this honor is sort of overdue. If it was a library book, you'd owe a few dollars, okay, in catching up with what this man accomplished years ago. He now ranks second in receiving yards, better than 2,200, almost 2,300 receiving yards in his career. I say he now because for 32 years, until 4 years ago, he was number one in receiving yards by a Temple receiver. Ventrell Bryant broke that record. Fortunately for him, unfortunately for Willie, 4 years ago. He's 13th in overall receptions, 111. And the one stat that sticks out for me, as a four-year receiver, he averaged per catch better than 20 yards every time he caught the ball. That's a big play, guy. 16 touchdown receptions, ranked second at the time, third currently on the all-time list. And he played in an offense that featured a teammate who in his senior year, like Willie, wound up second in the Heisman Trophy, the great Paul Palmer, who was a fantastic running back. And he also played with a team on defense that featured a guy by the name of Todd Bowles, another guy by the name of Kevin Ross, a first-round draft pick on offensive line, John Rienstra, and the list goes on and on. Temple football didn't just begin, folks, 10 years ago. It was guys like Willie Marshall, who came out of New Jersey and came here to Philadelphia to play. He was recruited by another Hall of Famer, Wayne Harden, but played for B.A., Bruce Arians, that helped make football at Temple a fantastic draw and attraction. So, after his career at Temple, he was drafted, I think, a sixth-round pick of the Green Bay Packers. And now he's living in New York City with his family, many of whom are here tonight. Number 84, and one of the all-time great football players in Temple history. Let's say hello and welcome Hall of Famer now, Willie Marshall.
All right, good evening. Let me warn y'all, where's Larry at? Right before I came up here, Larry said, Willie, you have your 35-minute speech? He thought he was kidding. But my family will tell you, Willie has the gift of gab. All right, so I'll try to keep it a little shorter than that. First of all, I want to give honor to God. Much like one of my fellow classmates, my journey was a dangerous, a potentially life-ending one. So I give to God all the glory. And never in my wildest imagination would I imagine that I would be here. Football was the one sport that I played the least growing up. I think, what did I get, about a year and a half, 2 years, Mom? And nonetheless, in 1981, Coach Bob DePippi, the late Bob DePippi, recruited me. Columbus, New Jersey, out in the middle of farms. No one would have ever thought a football player was going to come out of that high school. But he saw something special in me, to the point where he recommended to Coach Harden that I be offered a scholarship. I was. And that began this journey. There's a saying that it's the journey, not the destination. Well, we're here. We know what the destination is. But the journey, I believe, is what really, for me, characterizes my career. 1983, BA's first year, I think we won 4 games. Very unmemorable year, right? BA had a thing about putting us in the top 5 toughest schedules across the board. We would play nothing but top 5, top 10, top 20 teams. And this is when we were an independent. So we didn't have a league to play in. We didn't have other teams to play in, no conferences, none of that. But he wanted to put Temple on the map. So we're playing the toughest schedule of all teams in the country, just about. 1984. 3 things stick out to me. First of all, anybody that knows football history, Temple football history, the Pitt Panthers used to literally kick the crap out of us every year. Average 29-point loss for 39 years. We had not beaten this team. We were losing 10-12. Clock running down. I think we had about a minute, 58 seconds left. Kicked ourselves in the butt, 2 penalties. We're on 3rd and 19. My QB launches one down. I still don't know how I caught it, but I did. We win for the first time. Coach Arians, who, as you all know, is a Super Bowl winning coach, our former coach, says that was the win of his career, even to this day. For me, that was that moment where I realized, you know what, I can play this game. I can play this game. That same year, once again, West Virginia, another bowl-bound powerhouse. Again, come from behind in the 4th quarter with a minute 15, I believe. My quarterback, Lee Sauce, began a drive. We kick another winning field goal and take down another perennial powerhouse. As great as those 2 events are, and the team that it built, we later that season lost to Delaware. And I remember Coach Arians, and I'm not going to use the words that he uses because he uses some very interesting explicatives. He said, if you guys don't pick it up, you will be on the turf at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. We call it Black Sunday. He wasn't bluffing. We got back off the bus, laid down for about 2 hours, and we were out doing full contact scrimmage Sunday morning. Because that's just how Coach was. He was that passionate. But what it did was it brought together a group of guys to create a strong, imposing team to the point where the following year we took on 3, including the national champions, BY Cougars. First 3 games of the season, we lost to them by 7 points, a total of 7 points. Penn State was the eventual national champion. BYU was the national champion. Boston College. This is a group of guys that went 4-7 just a couple of years ago. We in that season 6-5, so obviously we started to get it. We played nothing but the best, Alabama and all of those other teams. Much like my classmates, my inductees, the thing that I take away the most from my time at Temple, my friendship with Greg Pronko, a fellow receiver at Temple, my sister Wendy Reynolds, who I had no idea, but Wendy was more passionate about me getting into the Hall of Fame. She actually nominated me. I didn't know that. Thank you so much, Wendy. Right? Being able to share this with my family, my wife, my kids. My mom, my dad are here. And I want to give a special thanks to my mom because this journey almost didn't happen. You supported me. You made me believe in myself again. And I'm here. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Temple. This is truly a blessing, and I'm truly grateful. Thank you.
Willie, let me just add a couple footnotes to the Delaware loss and the Pitt win. Delaware's quarterback was a Super Bowl quarterback by the name of Rich Gannon. Okay. It wasn't just a St. Joe's Prep grad, who I think was one of the first kids that B.A. called. He told me this himself when he got the Temple job. He wanted Rich to come 4 or 5 blocks north. But unfortunately, Tubby Raymond down there at Delaware got him. Okay. The Pitt game, I don't know how many people remember this who are here, but I certainly do. I'm sure Willie does. Back in those days, Temple was playing at the Vet, and they did everything they could to try to attract a crowd. Now, Pitt, you know, they were a great team, but Temple had a marketing guy, his name was Mike Fetchko, who decided that he wanted to have a post-game concert, and he did it at several games. Eventually, the NCAA banned that sort of thing. But if you remember, Willie, it was a beautiful day, and the concert was, you ready? The Beach Boys. The Beach Boys. I mean, and Beach Boys, this is 1980, what, 6, 5, whatever. I mean, they were a pretty big group, right? But that game, you know, the catch he made set up a winning field goal by a fellow by the name of Jim Cooper. I forget how long it was the first attempt. I say the first because he missed it. And everybody was downtrodden. And then we noticed there was a flag thrown. And there was a penalty. I don't know if it was Bill Fralick or somebody from Pitt. Bill Fralick was like a 3-time All-American, All-Pro, unfortunately passed away at a young age for Pitt. Was offsides. So Coop got another shot at it. And he was no sidewinding kicker. He was straight on. Okay, you can't find even video of guys like that anymore. So he got the advantage of being 5 yards closer. And the clock had run out. This is it. The game, this is it. Another chance. Make the most of it. And Jim Cooper made the most of it. That place, I remember in the third quarter, there were probably about 18,000 people in the stadium. You know how many people witnessed that kick? Close to 50,000. You know why? An additional 32,000 people showed up for the concert. They didn't even know what the heck was going on. They didn't know the score was 12-10. They were disappointed that there was a penalty because that meant they weren't going to get the Beach Boys as soon as they thought. So the Beach Boys had to wait. They had the stage all ready to roll out on the field. And Jim Cooper made the game-winning field goal against an arch rival like Pitt. And that's the rest of the story, as somebody used to say. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I know. Is there a football game here today? Unbelievable. But I just had to put that little perspective on that story. All right, next up, we have one of the top pitchers in the history of Temple baseball. Ed Molish is his name, and Ed, a right-hander, ranks 9th all-time in ERA, 2.80, and he earned all Middle Atlantic Conference team honors in 1972, leading the team in victories with 7 that year, innings pitched. Where do you hear a stat I'm going to give you in a couple seconds here, and strikeouts. He pitched the most innings in 1972's College World Series, 21 1/3 innings. I mean, for a lot of guys, that's a whole season now, right, in the majors even. But he did it in a short season, including a trip to the College World Series. He threw a complete game, 12-inning, 2-1 loss that year in the World Series to Oklahoma State, and a complete game 1-0 loss to the #1 team at the time, the Arizona State team from Tempe. Eddie also led the team in wins, innings, strikeouts, and ERA as a junior. That was in 1971. He was a 2-year co-captain under Skippy Wilson, signed with the Phillies when he came out of Temple, and played 4 seasons of professional baseball in the Phillies organization. He's a local kid. I've got to know Eddie over the years. because I knew a couple of his high school classmates at LaSalle High, and that class of 1968 is probably one of the closest, tightest knit group of alums, not only of LaSalle, but of any high school I know. These guys stay together through thick and thin. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how his arm didn't fall off after that complete game 12 inning, but he still has it attached, and he's ready to carry home a Hall of Fame trophy tonight. Let's say hello to Eddie Molish. And he promised me I would not say anything about his golf game, so I didn't, Ed. If anybody wants to know, I'll be in the corner afterwards.
You know, you probably noticed that Harry didn't say, you know, he looks like he could still go out there and pitch. Because he doesn't. Oh, excuse me. A game that Harry mentioned, not that it matters a whole lot, I went into the 13th inning because the other guy did the same thing from Oklahoma. And I gave up 4 straight singles, and we lost 2-1. And you're right, I think I threw 311 pitches that night or something like that. I don't know. As Willie said, the surprise of being here for me was pretty amazing. Got that phone call from Arthur, and I said, "Are you kidding? This really happened?" And I said, I was absolutely honored just to be nominated. You know, and some of you might be old enough to know that, you know, Groucho Marx, if you know who Groucho Marx was, and he made a comment many, many, many years ago. There was a golf club, an exclusive golf club just outside of L.A. that he'd been a member of. And then something happened, he got snooty with a manager or something, and in a huff, Groucho quit. But he became a bigger name on he had a TV show, things like that, and they invited him back, and Groucho's comment was similar to my feeling. He said, you know what, I wouldn't want to be a part of any organization that would have me as a member. So that's where Groucho was, and I thought, geez, how did I get here? You know, so, you know, baseball, you've seen enough games, you know, if hitters now they have walk-up music. We didn't have that in the College World Series. Guys just went up to bat. At my age, I'm just glad to have wake-up music. It feels really good, you know. And one thing I'm very proud of, a couple of my teammates are here from that team, sitting in the back. My phenomenal third baseman, great center fielder, that's Jack Don and Jim Parisi. In all seriousness, Jack was such a competitor, and he knew I was too, but Jack kept me in those 2 games. Over by third base, if you notice, after an out is made, the ball usually winds up in the third baseman's hands. You know, it'll go around the infield on a strikeout or a ground ball, whatever. And Jack always had the ball and he'd take a few steps over to me and say something and then just flip the ball to me. And I was just trying to be so focused on the hitters, and it wasn't until about the 4th inning I realized he was saying, get these guys out or I'm going to punch you in the face, you know. And that was good motivation. So, anyway, I sometimes say to people, in sort of a joke, that I get a Christmas card every year from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, because in that game against Oklahoma in the 6th inning, I yielded a home run to their 6'6" first baseman. And I was the first pitcher ever to have a ball put into orbit, and I'm quite proud of that. So I get that Christmas card from NASA every year. So anyway, we all know some quirky truisms from Hall of Fame, real Hall of Fame baseball player Yogi Berra. We know that Yogi Berra is famous for some malapropisms and some funny things that have a sense of truth to them, though. And if you don't know some of these, you know, Yogi Berra was asked, he was the manager of the Yankees after his career, and he wasn't showing up at a certain restaurant all of a sudden, and the reporters were going after the games, and they didn't know why he was there, and they got to him the next morning in the clubhouse, and they said, how come you're not going to your favorite restaurant? He said, oh, nobody goes there anymore, it's too crowded. Think about that. That was Yogi Berra. Nobody goes there anymore, it's too crowded. Okay, thanks, Yogi. And he also said to people as he grew older and was, you know, players were getting ill, maybe in a hospital, players were passing away, and he said, make sure you go to everybody else's funerals or they'll never come to yours. You have to be aware of that stuff. And my favorite from Yogi actually makes some sense. Yogi once said, if life were perfect, it wouldn't be. And I kind of like that, kind of stuck on with that. I was an English teacher after my baseball career, so I would do some of these Yogi Berra-isms and talk about language with my students or whatever, and that one seemed to strike home. And I think about what became kind of perfect for me in an imperfect way. My father was my first coach. My younger brother was here. And my dad would be very proud to be here tonight. He took me and my teammates at age 9, 10, 11, 12 to Little League playoffs, Babe Ruth League playoffs. And he followed me when I got to play in an all-star game at Connie Mack Stadium. Some of you are too young to know what that was, where that was, 21st and Lehigh. That was a thrill for me at age 16. And another all-star game. I don't know why they kept picking me for all-star games. I was throwing all these innings and losing. At Veterans Stadium, which was a real thrill when I was 18 or 19, and on into the minor leagues. My dad and sometimes my mom would accompany him, and they would follow me around to some cities in North Carolina, Virginia, whatever, Richmond, Virginia. I remember distinctly when they drove down there and against the Atlanta Braves AAA team. My father and my mother even came out to the College World Series. They flew out there to watch us play, and that was a thrill for me to have my dad out there. And when my father passed away some 20 years ago, I did something that the Catholic priest was not very fond of. But this was my father's one and only one funeral. And I was going to honor him as best I could. So after I spoke about him for whatever, 6, 7, 8 minutes, maybe longer, I tend to lose track of that. And I had everyone stand up and sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. And I thought that was a fitting tribute to my dad. One person in particular who helped get me here was our renowned baseball coach, Skip Wilson, who just passed away at age 92, late August. Coached for 47 years here. Gave us an incredible amount of baseball knowledge, also gave us an incredible amount of instruction on how to be good teammates, good students, and hopefully some good young men. And those kinds of things were kind of perfect for me to take away from what became for me a remarkable place to be for learning, for being in the classroom, and then learning in Skip Wilson's classroom on that field, and taking that team that we had and getting us out to a national third-place finish out there. Just the last few minutes, Skip had a lot of effect on my coaching. I coached in high school for 8 years. I coached at Haverford College, a high-level Division III school. I was very proud to have been there. We never had any players who had any false aspirations of playing in the major leagues, but we have 9 foreign players who are in the front offices of Major League Baseball right now, most of whom I coached, and it was a great honor for me. I only have 40 more minutes, folks. I'm almost done. Okay. So in thanking my teammates, I'm thanking my family for being here, thanking my dad, thanking Skip Wilson, and I think of Russell Conwell, who started Temple University long, long ago. And I read long ago and recently the incredibly long speech that Russell Conwell had called Acres of Diamonds, and it became the kind of the slogan for Temple University. And without going into too much of a speech, I just kind of took the metaphor of that, and I thought, yeah, I've been on Acres and Diamonds, played on a lot of them, and it got me here. Thank you very much.
You know, you talk about Skippy, Ed. He was also an assistant basketball coach during his time here at Temple. Ms. Davis, you probably remember a little bit of that under Coach Litwack. And in fact, John Baum, arguably one of the top 5 basketball players in the history of Temple basketball, was recruited by Skippy because John never played basketball in high school. John went to West Philly, he played baseball. But he went to community college, and Skippy was, in addition to being an assistant basketball coach, was also a basketball referee. And he had a game that John played in and liked him so much, he followed John into the locker room, literally, John told me, into the shower, okay? And invited him to meet Coach Litwack when there was a white towel right over here on this corner. years ago. This would have been like 1966 or something like that, for a hamburger at the White Tower. And that's how John Baum was recruited to play at Temple. 4 years later, he was responsible for Temple's win in the NIT in 1969. So Skip Wilson had his hand in a lot of things here at Temple University, and we all regret his passing, as Ed said back in August. We go from baseball to softball for our next inductee. She was one of the top power hitters in Temple's softball history. Adrianne Kashner was not only successful on the diamond, but also in the classroom, finishing her career holding Temple records for home runs with 21, total bases 250, tying for second in doubles 41, and ranking 8th in hits overall, 4th in runs, 3rd in RBIs, and 3rd in batting average. She was a first-team academic All-American and the Atlantic 10 Co-Student Athlete of the Year as a senior in 2007, and she set single-season records with a batting average of .456, plus 13 homers, 44 runs scored, and led the NCAA that year with a .951 slugging percentage. She was the A10 Player of the Year and was also the Co-Student Athlete of the Year. She was a first-team ESPN magazine Academic All-District selection, also earned Temple's 2007 Female Student Athlete of the Year and the Philly Inquirer's Academic All-Area Performer of the Year. That's quite a well-rounded athlete, student athlete. And now let us meet another inductee to the Hall of Fame at Temple University, Adrianne Kashner.
All right. I have always played team sports, so I do not like the spotlight at all, so I'm going to keep this really fast and just say a few thank yous and move on to the next amazing person in this extraordinary class. So there are quite a few people that have had a profound impact on me during my time at Temple, and they've really shaped who I've become in life. So I just wanted to point out a few of them quickly to you. I have always felt the support of the athletic department here at Temple, and particularly Bill Bradshaw was the athletic director at the time while I was here. And he was just a phenomenal human being who really supported female athletics. We often saw him at games. He came to our practices, shared inspirational messages with us, and really was just close-knit with the softball team. When we made it to the regional tournament for softball, he came to the party where we figured out what region we were going to be playing in against which teams at Coach Pignoli's house, and he was just really a part of the team and just believed in us, and I think that was wonderful for us to have him. I also want to thank Larry Doherty for always being in my corner as a Temple athlete. Temple is such a huge university, but I never felt that way when I was here. I always felt like everybody really took care of each of us. I never felt like a number here. When things started to get really exciting during my senior year, when it was all uncharted territory for me, Larry really just took me under his wing and kind of helped me through all the media and everything that was happening with our team at that time, and you were always a calming presence. And maybe it sounds insignificant to you, or it was just like a small thing, but when it was my senior year and I was student teaching in a second grade class right down the block at Kearney Elementary School, it was like the end, and I wanted to do something special for them. And Larry said, let me get you tickets for the whole class to go with you to a football game. And it was just such a really neat opportunity that, you know, he could give back to them, I could have a special time. And so, you know, it just shows you like how much the athletic department cares about their athletes. So I will always remember that. In addition, I want to thank the coaching staff that I had while I was here at Temple. Rocky Pignoli was my coach, Ron Shoemaker and Terry Adams. And there are just some core memories that last a lifetime when you really think back on them. And I remember them coming to my house when I was, I think, a junior in high school and offering me a full scholarship to come and play softball at Temple University. And I looked over at my parents, and my mom was crying. And at that time, I couldn't really process, like, why is she crying? Like, this is just cool. This is what you do. Like, you just go and you play. But now thinking back on, what an advantage and how fortunate I was for that, and how Temple really just put me on this path for success, I truly do understand why that was so impactful. And I thank them for believing in me and trusting me and giving me all of those opportunities. I also got to share the field with some phenomenal female athletes, amazing human beings who it's so nice to stay in touch with and just see like-minded, driven, strong females out there succeeding in their career. So I'm so thankful to them as well. And finally, I want to thank my parents and family who have supported me every step of the way. My aunt and my mom have probably been to all the craziest places that we've played, St. Louis, Arizona, Rhode Island, St. Bonaventure. I don't even know if you could find the field up there, but they have just gone everywhere with us and all of those experiences. And thank you to my husband for being here and my daughters Kennedy and Campbell. I love you. And once again, thank you to the selection committee for thinking that I even deserve this honor, and congratulations to this amazing group of honorees. Thank you.
And then there was number 8, who is next, and she was one of the top field hockey players in Temple history. Laurie O'Donnell is the all-time assist leader in program history with 63. Among her numerous accolades while playing here, she's one of only 6 Temple field hockey players to earn first-team All-American honors, capping her career with the honor in 1991. She also was a 3-time All-Region honoree, and in her final season, she earned first-team All-Atlantic 10 Conference and was named the A-10's Most Outstanding Player. She helped lead the Owls to the NCAA tournaments as a junior and a senior, setting the still-standing single-season assist record with 27. That was in 1990. Her 87 career points ranks 9th, and her assist record of 63 is 17 assists better than the next closest Temple player. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to our 8th honoree of the evening and our final inductee to the Hall of Fame here at Temple, Laurie O'Donnell.
I'd like to thank Temple University Athletics. I'm truly honored and humbled to be inducted into the Hall of Fame with such an incredible class, including 2 other field hockey players, Deb and Jill. Jill was one of my teammates and protected our goal for my first 2 seasons. Thank you to my family and my teammates who share this with me tonight. Growing up in a small town and spending my many youth days on the soccer field, I didn't have a clue about field hockey. I did well in soccer, and interestingly, I was the only girl on my team for a few years, and was selected I was selected as the only girl on an all-star team. Have times changed for women's in sports. After my 7th grade rec season, my dad suggested I give field hockey a try, since my high school didn't even have soccer, so I gave it a whirl. Coming from a soccer background, the concepts were easy for me to understand, but I was lacking in the stick skills. My neighbors can attest to the amount of time that I spent in my backyard. I didn't own cones, so I took everything pretty much from our garage. The desire to improve never changed for me, even once my stick work began to catch up to my speed. I had fallen in love with this sport. As I mentioned, I grew up in a small town, so you can imagine how my first trip to campus went. For sure, my eyes were wide open during my first recruiting trip, especially that initial drive down Broad Street. It didn't take long for me to fall in love with the diversity of the Temple community, and from day one, I was excited to be a Temple Owl. I joined a large class of other incoming freshmen. We began our bond as teammates and built many lifelong friendships. A couple join us tonight, Marcy Turney and Kelly Smith. Both Marcy and Kelly drew the short straw and were my roommates of mine through our time here at Temple. As I reflect on some of my student-athlete experiences, I'd like to highlight a couple. Practice heading into Labor Day was not going particularly well. Many parents lined the fence for us to finish practice as it was well beyond our end time. They saw a glimpse of a conditioning session, many players sprinting for the trash cans. Field hockey is a tough sport, but when your coaches aren't particularly happy with the effort on the field, it becomes tougher. And those difficult lessons taught us the importance of preparation for the next level. Another distinct memory, I can still hear the band practicing next to us on Giese Field, sometimes blowing their horns and banging their drums so loudly it seemed as if the turf trembled. You remember that, Jill, don't you? We couldn't hear ourselves or our coaches. If I wasn't mistaken, those horns seemed to always point in our direction. Also, if I wasn't mistaken, a few balls might have sailed in that direction. Although I'm being inducted, I truly believe it should be our team because we were really good. I remember the wins and losses, the win against UMass to win the A-10 championship, the unexpected overtime win against the University of Maryland, well, it was unexpected by them, in the NCAA tournament to push us into the regional finals. Maryland didn't know that our prolific goal scorer, Jane Catanzaro, had a hand injury and couldn't hit. We had a penalty corner in overtime. She took her perch at the top of the circle, like always. I inserted the ball, and Maryland sent their players' focus to Jane, and Tony Byard sent the ball into the back of the net for the win. Like it was yesterday, I remember the loss that ended my Temple career, the trip to UNC for the NCAA regional finals. They knew we attacked on the right side with great speed, so they drenched that part of the field with water. Home field advantage, I guess. They scored on a fluke goal after most of the game was a chess match between the 25s. The heartache that was felt signifies to me just how much we loved competing on behalf of Temple. Many memories bring a smile to my face and an overwhelming sense of pride and gratitude. However, what brings the biggest smile and the most pride is when I remember the people along my journey. As I reflected with my teammates over time, we were an inspired team, loved our coaches, and we were committed to common goals. I was drawn to Temple by Coach Gwen Cheeseman Alexander, and I'm grateful for her for recruiting me. After my freshman season, the university hired 3 coaches who I referred to as the Dream Team: head coach Michelle Madison and assistants Pam Buston and Liz Chu. Michelle was demanding but realistic. She quietly inspired and was very matter-of-fact. Each spring, she held team and individual trainings. It was during one of these trainings, during my sophomore year, that she approached me and suggested I consider beginning the selection process for the U.S. national team. Without her encouragement, I never would have considered it. The process took several months, and the following January, I was selected to the U.S. national team, a feat I never really thought was possible until Michelle showed so much belief in me and encouraged me to try. Pam Buston, one of our assistant coaches, was an expert field hockey mind and a motivating spirit. However, she was also at the core of some of the funniest moments of my Temple experience. I can see my teammates back there already smiling. During a bus ride to our hotel following the A-10 banquet, Pam did the greatest imitation of the church lady from Saturday Night Live. She had the entire bus folded over in laughter with tears streaming down our faces. This is one memory where I wished we had a cell phone, while others, I'm glad we didn't. Coach Madison and Coach Buston were wonderful mentors to this day, and I feel so fortunate we have maintained friendships. Lastly, my teammates, who challenged me and were instrumental in growing my love for the sport. At Temple, we created a true team, and although we weren't expected to crack the top 10 in the country, we finished our final 2 seasons well within the top 10. I loved every aspect of being with the team: practice, games, bus rides, team dinners, you name it. They made playing at Temple what it was supposed to be: fun. After I completed my playing time and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in early childhood elementary education, I enjoyed a little more than a decade as a teacher and a coach. For the past decade, I was an academic counselor and an instructor at Penn State working with student athletes. Recently, our family relocated to Chester County, a little closer to Owl Country. To my children, Matt, Sydney, and Ryan, you may not completely comprehend the incredible honor of this evening. However, my hope for you is you understand the power of people who inspire and mentor. Keep them close and learn from them, and remember how they make you feel. Lastly, there are 2 people who are looking down with great pride tonight. My parents. My parents were my biggest fans. They taught me the importance of integrity and commitment. They were constants on the sidelines, as you could hear my father's booming voice and support throughout the games. I know my parents would be so proud to share this moment with me. Despite my dad's love for his alma mater, Penn State, he embraced Temple and the cherry and white, and so did I. Thank you, Temple University Athletics, for providing me the opportunity to play field hockey. And thank you to Temple Field Hockey for believing in this small town girl and giving me some of the most cherished gifts. Thank you.
Before I close the festivities tonight, I want to recognize a lady who is here, Mrs. Cheney, sitting with son John over there. We want to recognize you. You're our, Mrs. Cheney and the Cheney family, you're our 9th honorary inductees to the 2022. Thank you, because you touched so many people over years. And I know you didn't come to many games. You probably couldn't take it, but you knew what was going on. I know, Coach, I don't want to embarrass you or anything, but after the UMass game, and Coach Calipari he told me when he came home, you were ready to leave the house with your daughter. And he told me how much of a fool he felt like, but especially when you told him that. So that's one story I'll never forget. But thank you for being here tonight. Okay. Thank you. And that's it, as I mentioned. You know, I've been doing this for several years. We've had larger classes than this, and no matter what the size of the class, the takeaway I have every year, aside from the records that I read about or read to you about, and the accolades that these athletes accumulated during their playing time at Temple, the personal stories that they shared with us, be it with teammates or practices and things that happened to them, their parents' support, the university's support, they're the things that I have to be thankful for the most, I think, and I think you'd all agree with me. That's a big part of what this ceremony is all about. There are always great people, but there are even greater stories behind them, and tonight we got a glimpse of some of that. The weekend continues, this Hall of Fame weekend tomorrow. These 8 honorees will be honored again at halftime of the Temple University of South Florida football game at Lincoln Financial Field. It's going to be a beautiful day. You don't have to worry about any rain, I don't think. and you'll be out on the field of competition, not to compete, but to pick up another well-deserved honor. So we congratulate you for that. Thanks for being here with us and to help them celebrate tonight. Hope you can make it to the game tomorrow. And it's a pleasure to have shared this evening with you here at the Liacouras Center. Thanks. Have a safe night.